allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's make like a rock and hike over to that other road. Boy, these mornings are just feeling early lately. I think that's my fault for just not staying in good enough shape, though. I think that's all on me. By the way, we're going to be trying to have another baby this year. Baby. Gonna be shooting for a girl, hopefully. I'll be fine if we get 2 more twin boys. It won't bother me one bit. But we'll be starting that process in June. Here goes the Starlink. Ooh, I think I'm all dehydrated too. My mouth is dry. It's because I just drink coffee all day, every day. Well, today I'm going to test my app again. I went to test it yesterday, and all in all, throughout the entire house, I recorded 62 individual clips of 62 individual line items. And out of all of that, after all that work, I went to do the upload and it kept failing the upload. Luckily, where I built it on Replit can do, it's a little bit like having an engineer in your pocket. It can literally go look at the app like live and read the logs live and see what's happening. And basically, it was just built in such a way. Oh, wow. I just saw a nice little fireball shooting star. That's cool. I don't see many fireballs. I know we have to be in a meteor shower right now, because I've suddenly been seeing a couple every time I'm out at night. But turns out my app is just built in such a way. Well, first of all, it was limited to 30 clips. I didn't know that. That's apparently something Replit just decided was necessary to throw in there. So couldn't upload it because of the 30 clips. I was able to, I guess, change the code, on the spot, sitting there in the car at the job. But the problem is republishing the code still would require me to refresh the page. And this damn thing was built in such a way, you can blame me, it was built in such a way that refreshing the page would cause you to lose everything. So, I'm not a developer. What do you want me to say? I'm learning as I go. So I was screwed. I had 2 options. I could stay and edit the app on my phone and, do the inspection again. Or I could come home and finish it at home. So I came home and finished it at home. And I did a whole lot of other improvements. So now what it's going to do is, instead of waiting until you get to the end of the video and clicking that done or submit button and then sending it up, instead what it's going to do is every time you finish a clip, it's going to immediately upload that clip and process that clip and download that clip back and push it out to Jobber as a line item. Every clip, one at a time. So what that means is if I do 62 clips and then it fails, well, I still have 61 clips. If it fails on clip 62, or my phone battery dies, or, whatever happens, doesn't really matter. a comet could hit my phone and blow it to smithereens on clip 62. And I'll still have 61 clips processed on the PDF and in Jobber. So hopefully that works out. Oh, I gotta tell y'all too, I have these 2x4s. I made a couple hundred of them at one point. We used a lot of them for firewood. But I had these 2x4s that I'd cut up for like dominoes for my kids. And there's still quite a few left, and they used them as dominoes the other day. Because they'll use them as a lot of stuff, but they did use them as dominoes just the other day. And I walked out of the bedroom in the middle of the night, forgot about them, and stepped on them, and just tripped and tripped and tripped and tripped. I never did go down and hit the ground. But man, no matter where I put my feet to try to regain my balance, there was another 2x4 under it. And I like popped or broke or somehow or another made my bone spur very angry. So that left heel is just hurting worse and worse every morning. More and more on these hikes. I hope I don't have to take a break to heal it. You never know, but I'm gonna try to just push through. If it got to the point where it kind of got quite a bit better, if it did that once, I'm assuming it can do that twice. And I think right now I'm gonna just kind of hike in the quiet for a bit. You guys ask questions. When I have a question, I'll start riffing on it, but I'm gonna just hike for a minute. There's all them hard-working men up making America great. Just so y'all know, I don't see any comments. I don't know if there are any, but if you're commenting and I'm not reading it, it's because nothing's on the screen. Hey, now's a good time for a reminder that in Texas, April 16th through 19th, I'm going to be in a little northeast of Dallas in Bonham State Park. Bonham State Park. We're going to have a bunkhouse / barracks situation going on there. Technically, it can hold up to 94 people. I'm limiting it to 60, but 𝗟𝗏 Insurance has generously paid for the whole damn thing for us. Like, the money's already on the way to me, and I've already paid for it, and they're just backfilling me. So we've got this barracks, April 16th through 19th. You can bring a +1. I'm providing all the food, including the cooking, although for 60 people, I'm gonna have to draw from the crowd for some assistance, which isn't usually a problem. Usually everybody's trying to help anyways, but I'll be cooking for y'all. We'll have barracks. We'll be there Thursday through Sunday, April 16th through 19th. You can thank 𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗡 Insurance for paying for it. You can thank them by going to their website, using my link in the description, just to tell them, hey, thanks for supporting the community. This is the 4th or 5th one they've hosted. The last one was in Tennessee. They're always great events. 𝗪𝗪𝗨'𝗟𝗟. Oh, I can't read. Oh, maybe it is 𝗪𝗪𝗨'𝗟𝗟. Coming through loud and clear. Thank you, sir. Yeah, just a couple days ago, coming down the same road, except I was doing was that my evening hike? Yeah, it's my evening hike. I did one where I started in the evening and finished after dark. And this guy, Steven, pulls up beside me and goes, "Excuse me, sir, are you the Bulletproof handyman?" So that was kind of crazy. Turns out he lives in my neighborhood right over here. And he actually, I don't want to speak out of turn. I believe he said, I don't know if he started his handyman business because of my channel or just happened to be watching my channel while he started it. I don't want to claim that he started because of my channel, but he's a member of the community apparently, and didn't realize that he lived just a few blocks from me. Philip said, "You had it correct as my first name and last name." Oh, cool. Yeah, the last name, I kind of felt lazy when I read it, and I was like, wait a minute, let me dig in and make sure I try to pronounce this right. Oh man, I'm just beat. But today I'm gonna go test my app again. I think it's gonna work. I should have tested it more at home last night, but I think what I'm gonna do this time is I'm gonna take my laptop to the property with me and start testing it at the property. And then if it doesn't work, I'll have my laptop and I can just start fixing it on the spot. But the good news, this is really good news actually, is one of the changes I made yesterday was I realized, man, if I'd have had it set up for this video to save locally, because I had it set up to save in the cloud. So once it gets uploaded all the way, then it gets saved in the cloud, but I didn't have it saved locally at all. And I realized if I'd have had it saved locally, then I could at least just fix the software and rerun the video, but I don't have to do the whole inspection over. But nope, I gotta do the whole inspection over because I did not do it properly. So now at the very least, once I do the inspection next time, I should have a local file of the video saved that I can just rerun. Philip said yesterday you were talking about naming your app. Yeah, I gotta figure out the exact name. I wish it could just be Scout, you know, but I don't think it can be. That'll be all right with me. The big deal is whether it's truly useful or not. You know, if it's a good product, then it's a good product. Yeah, man, I think we got a little bug in our house. I just don't feel 100%. Oh man, I left my hat at home. That's crazy. I need a haircut too. That needs to be actually real quick up on the list. My hair's getting pretty shaggy. My clients don't ever see me. I'm not even the one on the job swinging the hammer, but still, probably ought to stay professional. I hate these headlights, man. Every time the headlights are coming, I just gotta turn around and wait. Got an email from Scott Hughes yesterday about some other AI inference computers, chips, whatever you want to call them. Some interesting stuff out there. There's some stuff that's, let's call it more affordable per compute than my DGX Spark. I will say, and I'm no systems expert for sure, it does fall short in some areas. It's not truly an equivalent, but there are some neat options. Then I went up from my Spark, and what I really didn't realize at all existed until Scott Hughes kicked me off into a new sort of research frenzy on some new stuff. It's a 6000. My memory's just so damn bad. A6000 something or 6000 STX. I don't even remember. But it's got 6000 in the name. And it's kind of the next step up from my Spark. But it's not quite an H100. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure I dramatically misspoke. It was either yesterday or the day before. I believe it was yesterday. I think at one point I said that my Spark is basically an H100, which it's definitely not. Some of its specs can match an H100 in some ways, but it's absolutely not an equivalent at all. An H100 is insanely more powerful. So, not that any of y'all are, probably keeping a running inventory of what I think of all the different AI supercomputers. But just FYI, mine is not the equivalent of an H100. I very much misspoke. But Scott emailed me about some slightly lesser chips than my Spark, but only slightly lesser, that are significantly cheaper. So those are pretty cool. I would really love to be able to have, if I could get about, call it 50 to 80 grand, I could have a beast. I mean, really just a beast for compute. The kind of thing that can host anything at all. The kind of thing that can host, that you could put a website on that uses a bunch of AI inference and have thousands of people using that inference at the same time type of rig. Another car coming. I'm just going to step to the side. Paul's Handyman, good morning. It's another... Oh God, this person is fucking slow. I'm mad at random cars for not driving faster through my neighborhood because I have to stand here. I can't stand to just look at the headlights moving forward. I'm too damn tired. It's too early. So I just stand here on the side of the road facing away from the oncoming headlights. But they're moving so damn slow that now I'm just sitting here forever. What are they doing? Thank you. Just another rough start. Sorry, to be honest. Yeah, that's exactly what I always say. That's what I say about naming your handyman business. You could name it ABC Handyman Services. You could name it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you're just kicking ass, people aren't going to care. they're going to hiring you over and over. So that's how I feel about the product too. But it's worth it's limited to 30, and that it was storing everything essentially in the browser session. So all the 62 clips over the course of hour and a half of that, just in the browser. Had there been a refresh or anything, I'd have lost all of it anyways. It was just built stupidly. Again, that's on me. I don't know what I'm doing. But I have tested it previously without going over the 30 clips and without refreshing the browser. And I can confirm it connects straight into Jobber. And the way I got it built, the biggest change I made now is every clip that you do, you record a little 15-second thing showing a cracked light switch cover plate. As soon as you're done recording that, the moment you hit stop on that recording and start walking around looking for more stuff to hit the record button again, as soon as you hit stop, it uploads it to the cloud, analyzes it, sends the result back down, sends the result over to Jobber, attaches it to your quote or your job, and it's there. That's done. That clip's done. So worst case scenario, you fail on clip 62, you still have 61 clips. Success. Oh man, I didn't tell y'all, I fell in my kitchen last night too. I tripped on those 2x4s the other day, and then last night I fell actually like hard in the kitchen, to where I'm pretty sure I probably have some bruising on one of my legs, because we've got these stools for the twins. They like to come help out, you know, but they're only 4. So we got these stools for the twins, and I'll be damned if they weren't right in the middle of the kitchen floor at like 11:45 at night. And I didn't turn the lights on in there because I didn't want to wake anybody up, and just biffed it all over everything. Woodside business out here in Arizona. Appreciate you posting all that you do. I've been going through all your videos. Cool, man. Good luck to you and your new business. Reach out if I can help. My God, I don't feel good. Yeah, we'll be, you know, my boys were born in June, twins. They'll be 5 this June. And it turns out IUDs are on a 5-year, well, not all, but most anyways, and including ours, are on a 5-year cycle. So, you know, when you have kids, typically what you do is you, assuming you're going to decide to put an IUD in, you do it at the same time that you're giving birth and everything. You just have all that done all at once. So that expires in June, and we got to either remove it or, you know, replace it, one or the other, but it's got to come out. So we're pulling it out and leaving it out, and then we're going to be trying to have a baby again. For the record, I'm 45. Now, I will say, having my boys at the age of 40, 41, I think was great. I had a longer amount of time in life to watch other people screw up their kids, like all the people I grew up with. Some succeeded as a parent, some failed. And I kind of got to watch it all play out, you know, along with all the other just thousands of parents that I've known. So I think that gave me a little bit of an edge as a dad. But having a little girl, hopefully, is what we're shooting for. Having a little girl at the age of 45 just when the pregnancy starts, be 46 when she's born. That'll make me pretty old, but you know, if I get my health in order the way that I need to. I did quit smoking, you know, well over a year ago now. It'll be 2 years in September, so that's a good step. I got to get the self-discipline for the diet. I have it for the exercise. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm just walking, but it's 6 miles. It ain't nothing. But I do have to get more discipline with diet and exercise. I'm 45. I don't feel like I'm gonna have a stroke any day, but there's times when I can feel my blood pressure differently. I feel my joints differently. I just feel everything differently. You know, I go to put my socks on and I get some kind of little twang in my chest, and I'm going, oh God, is that what maybe a heart attack feels like? I hope not. So I gotta get this shit under control. Aunt said, you've been sick? Yeah, I've been a little sick. It's not sick. I think there's like a tiny virus in my house. The kind where you don't need to miss work or anything like that, but you just realize everybody for the same set of like 4 or 5 days, just everybody's just kind of, you know, got the shits and not feeling good. Just not feeling good, you know, like head to toe, just the joints and everything. So I think that's what it is. It's not like a flu or anything, just some kind of damn bug, it feels like. Paul's Handyman said, Ray, it looks like you're getting a lot of new people on your channel. Think it's the work of AI. AI is somewhat responsible for some of the things, for many of the things that I do that work, for sure. I put a lot of time, you know, a lot of my, well, I mean, it's all AI, I guess, because on the channel I'm doing one of a few things. One is I'm making content, you know, which is honestly what I should be spending most of my time doing, because there's a list of 1,000 videos that y'all have asked me to make, that I promised to make, that I want to make, that I'm getting around to making. And I just don't put quite enough time into it, though. I don't think, anyways. And then number two, so as far as making videos goes, AI has a lot to do with the success of a lot of the videos that do succeed, because I built one myself. It's crazy. I used AI to build a software package that downloads all my transcripts, all of my analytics, all of the comments, all of the metadata attached to everything in my YouTube channel, down to the level of not only analytics, but like, you know, chunk of time by chunk of time analytics, where I can deep link straight into videos anywhere I want. I can see retention data. I can see when people come online and drop offline, when they start the video, and where they exit the video at within the video, timestamped. I mean, everything. And this AI can see all of it, which means I have a good understanding of what y'all want, of what y'all say you want, but much like with my property managers, and I'm sure with me even, you know, if you want to know what people truly value, pay attention to what they do, not what they say. Because a lot of people will say all kinds of things and then turn around and behave differently. So this AI is really good at just looking at data and just saying, look, man, when you say these things, people stay on board and they listen, and even rewind and watch again, which means you've really provided some value, or you've pissed them off, one or the other. But that AI does a really good job. I can literally go to it and I can say, okay, I want to do a video with the intent of providing value to my existing audience. What are they missing? Like, what are they? Go look at the people who are already on my channel and look at what they're watching and look at their comments and look at what they're saying, and help me figure out like what their pain points are. What's the questions they keep asking? Because if they keep asking, I probably haven't answered it well. And we'll pinpoint that and we'll dive in and we'll outline a whole video, you know, not based on some generic what AI thinks a handyman YouTuber should say, but literally based on my analytics and based on my audience, we will plan the most valuable video. Or I'll say, hey, I want to do a video for the new guys who haven't started yet, who haven't found my channel yet. The type of video that's going to pop up on their timeline, and they're going to watch it and they're going to go, holy shit, you're right, I can and should do this. So it'll help me plan that. By the way, found out yesterday, I finally did the research. This area right over here, specifically that hill right there, the one that should be centered in the frame. All of this land right here is kind of cordoned off with signs that say you can't go on there. Can't remember the exact words, something about hazardous, blah, blah, blah. Finally, using Grok yesterday, found out that that is an old Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Used to do, this was like a firing range. So they did like white phosphorus rounds, of course, regular bullets, grenades, flares, RPGs, all kinds of things out here, right on this little hill right here. And that's why, let's go look at a sign actually. We've got enough light to see a sign. When I first moved out here, there was different signs on the fence that said something specifically about like uranium and stuff, because the A-10 used to use depleted uranium rounds, and I think they fired into this hill too. But warning, contaminated site, do not enter. Advertencia, sitio contaminado, no entrar. Department of Interior, BLM. So I thought that was neat. Got some comments. Oh, but yeah, I'll catch up on the comments in a minute. So the content itself very much is performing better and causing more success for the channel because of the AI that I built. I used AI to write the software that created the data set that I then was able to use to create the AI that's now helping me with my channel. What's even cooler is I have my DGX Spark supercomputer, and I have not yet put all that data, well actually I kind of have in a way, but it's my transcript data that I've run through so far and made one particular new AI with that. But if I want to do like a 15-day training run where this thing is screaming all day, every day for 15 days, if I want to do one of those, I can feed in my transcripts with my analytics and have basically the same AI that I've already built, but built much more deeply, like with a much greater understanding, where it's hardwired, like where its existence is my analytics. So did that. The other thing I'm always doing, of course, is building software, just lots of software. Now that AI allows me to essentially be a developer, which I imagine developers hate, because my buddy Chris is a developer. So, you know, one of the funniest things I can say to him that just kind of like pisses him off and makes him purse his mouth shut and kind of shake his head and smile is I keep calling myself a developer. I'll just be like, Chris, I'm a developer. And he hates it because I didn't earn it. You know, he spent his whole life learning how to write code, and now I can build anything that requires code, really. It's just a matter of how long does it take me. You know, it's not a matter of if anymore. I don't have to learn to code at all, and I can build just about anything. But, you know, all of those digital tools that I'm building, those bring new people to the channel as well. So that's another way AI is contributing. And then finally, third, kind of up the same alley, but the website itself, just having this centralized location where you can go to get everything. And I use the AI to build the website, all of it, literally every bit of it. I don't I do not code. I'm not good at any of that stuff. So AI is very much directly responsible for a lot of my success these days. Jay Rory, good morning, sir. Good to see you in here. Paul's Handyman said good morning to Jay Rory. Paul's Handyman said, could be acid reflux. I thought I was having a heart attack once and it turned into acid reflux and a pinched nerve. Right on. Gabriel said, what pays more, YouTube or Handyman stuff? Well, now YouTube does. I mean, it didn't always, of course. I had to put in, I would say I had to put in a year and a half on YouTube, almost 2 years really. But at the very least, I had to put in a year and a half on YouTube, essentially making nothing. I mean, it wasn't technically nothing. Some of that year and a half I was making something. But compared to the revenue of the handyman business, it was really nothing. So YouTube required that I invest, 10 to 15 hours a week, if not more, initially, for 80 weeks, 75, 80 weeks. I mean, there's a large chunk of time, way over a year, that I just had to invest early up front. It's like compound interest. You can, if you just go start buying the S&P 500, just boring old S&P 500 right now, and you just let it sit, for 30 years, you're going to be rich. You can become a millionaire without having a lot of money or really trying all that hard, if you just do nothing more than invest in the S&P 500. Boy, tell me this just isn't a gorgeous view here. But building this YouTube channel is kind of the same way. Those early videos, maybe I get 60 views or I get 125 views and, just lose my mind that I got 125 views. But each of those 125 views, though, that's a new person who watches my channel, who's subscribed, and who's gonna get my future videos. And as that base gets a little bigger, then when you put out a new video, initially when you're nobody, you put out a new video, the algorithm doesn't have any clue if it's any good. It's gonna show it to a handful of people. If some of them click on it, it'll show it to a handful more. And if some of them click on it, it'll show it to a handful more, but it quickly runs out of people to show it to. As opposed to when you have, let's say, 300 subscribers, well, now you've got a base of 300 people to watch it. So it'll send it out to those 300 people. And that's a bigger signal in terms of whether those 300 people chose to click on it and whether they chose to continue watching it after they started watching it. And then because that does well, it has more data. It says, oh yeah, I can see what kind of person likes this. It shoots that video out to more of that type of people and they click on it. So it's a compounding interest that over time, eventually you get to where I'm at today, where YouTube absolutely, I mean, don't get me wrong, if I put very little effort into YouTube, if I were to put very little effort into YouTube and what I would consider to be very little effort into my handyman business, I think they'd probably be about neck and neck, most likely. Maybe even the handyman business, it's hard to say because I'm using the qualifier that if I'm putting very little effort into either. YouTube will collapse on me almost immediately if I don't maintain like a decent content interval and really sort of just do my job, Whereas the handyman business, I could kind of do it in a shitty way and not be super high quality and stuff. And I think still there's so few handymen, like good, reliable ones, that as long as I wasn't just full on not showing up to the job and not doing the job, but if I was like showing up late and, canceling Tuesday, rescheduling Thursday, canceling Thursday and rescheduling Saturday, and then show up Saturday an hour late, if I was doing that like most guys are doing, probably make more money as a handyman than I do on YouTube. But they're both necessary and they're both significant. To me, they go together. To me, it's one business. It's the handyman business exists for the channel and the channel exists for the business. What I can tell you though is I can't serve you guys if I'm focused on the business. Like if I wanted to ramp the business up, if I wanted to get some vans and some employees and some more property managers, I feel super confident I could do that and I could just ramp the business up on that side. But the problem would be it takes so much effort to produce good content that the problem would end up being that I'm putting all my time into the actual business. I'd have no time to make any good content. You know, I'd just be signing on basically saying, hey guys, sorry you haven't seen me in a while. I'm really busy. See you later. And there just wouldn't be any real valuable content. But merging them together like this, you know, that's when it makes sense, like to build the tool I just built, the inspection tool. If I was a single owner operator, I would never, if I didn't have YouTube and if I wasn't building websites and software to share with y'all, if I wasn't doing that, if that wasn't part of my business model, then simply owning a handyman business, I would never have had the time to even learn AI in the first place, not to the depth that I have. I mean, I would have used ChatGPT and stuff, but I would not have learned how to code with AI. I wouldn't have learned how to build real software and how to build my own local models and all of that. I just wouldn't have any of the time to build any of the tools I've built for y'all, the master class and everything, if all I was doing was a handyman business. I'd have had to focus on just the handyman business nonstop. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, no, Afghanistan was my favorite job. My 3 years in Afghanistan, I have to say, as a drone field service engineer, that was my favorite job ever. But I mean, that's hard to beat. When you're a young man and you get to go to a war zone and work on a drone, that's pretty hard to beat. But second place is definitely when I was running my handyman business. Even when, and when I say that, I mean when I was personally the one with a hammer in my hands, on the road with no AC, all over Tucson, all day, every day, 12 days a week, 38 hours a day, just never ending. That was as hard as it was. And I missed my family and all that. And I was putting time into the YouTube channel, which was paying me nothing at the time. All of that, as stressful as it was, man, I remember it really fondly. It was, I think men enjoy the feeling of pushing really hard towards a goal, whether you've achieved it yet or not, just the push to get there. I think they say testosterone makes hard work feel good, and I don't think that means only physical hard work. I think that just means, you know, pouring yourself into a mission feels good. But yeah, so for me it's all one. You know, the two are kind of inseparable. I wouldn't want just the handyman business without the channel, and I wouldn't want the channel without the business. I really love like where I'm at in the middle there. Mike Neal, good morning. Paul's handyman said that's pretty neat. Gabriel said, y'all finding jobs? Okay, I haven't started yet, but I'm quitting my 9 to 5 in April, and we nervous. Yeah, you should be. It's a scary thing to do. Ant said, got 2 within a week. Awesome. Gabriel said, nice. Paul's handyman said, Gabriel, go get some property managers. I agree. Jeremiah McLaughlin said, what AI are you using for coding? Replit. I do believe, I just researched this recently too, because I don't want to be too far behind, because the scene changes pretty much daily. But Replit right now, and this is, so like if you want to make a game, you know, for your phone, you can use a lot of different AIs. If you want to make like a teeny tiny little app just for you, a lot of different AIs will work. Even if you want a website for your business, a lot of different AIs will work. But if you want to make sure that what you're building is really built to, let's just say, like a high industry standard, then you really want to be using something like Replit. Replit is, as of my last research just about a week ago, it's still the cream of the crop. Replit's the one that absolutely can scale. A lot of the other ones, they have like relatively small databases, and they're not just running the show the way that a professional web developer would run the show. So I can say, you know, if you just want to go ahead and start out, if you want to learn a platform that's going to scale with you, and that you can always rest assured that in the future, when you want to do things with software that you maybe weren't planning on wanting to do, I would advise just get started with Replit. But, you know, Replit is now inside ChatGPT, and I think ChatGPT ultimately, based on their MO is to bring in outsiders who are doing something neat, bring them into the fold, learn what they do, copy what they do, and then kick them to the curb. So I would imagine ChatGPT, although Replit is embedded there at the moment, they'll probably build their own Replit, basically. And then I saw on a little Grok, you know, Grok built by XAI, I saw on a little Grok commercial just a quick little snippet, itty bitty little video clip that happened real fast. And this little clip made me think that I think they have some kind of Replit that they're building that they haven't really maybe announced publicly yet, but I felt like I could see it. And it's some kind of IDE that you can develop in, like a visual IDE though. But yeah, I just go to Replit and, you know, just start there. There are cheaper platforms. Replit has, I think, some kind of basic free plan. Just pay for the credits and build something quality, you know, the first time around. Work with ChatGPT or your favorite large language model. Pick an AI. Work with an AI to build the prompt that you're going to give Replit. You're going to prompt Replit just like you prompt an AI. And your prompt can be, hey, let's build a game that's kind of like that game Snake. And then it's going to make you, you know, you're going to say that and it's just going to do it. But then you're not going to have really made it the way you wanted it. So go to your favorite ChatGPT type of LLM. Tell it exactly what you're doing. I'm trying to build a prompt for Replit because Replit is going to build the software. So let's talk about the software so we can build the best prompt for Replit, and it'll do that. And you'll have a great prompt, and you can feed that to Replit, and you'll get a great result. Ant said acid reflux is no joke. Paul's Handyman said it's an awesome sunrise, definitely. 10th Mountain. Every time I use an AI system, I find major flaws in its data and presentation of analysis. It's neat and ordered, but it's like sprinkles on a turd. That is, I want to say that is and was true. It is true with some AIs right now. And when I say right now, I do mean there is a significant difference in the error rate between 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago. So you're definitely not saying you're wrong, but I just want to point out, yes, AI is going to be full of errors. Well, I shouldn't say full of. It's not anymore, but very recently it was. However, even when it's not full of errors, there are going to be some errors, and it is very well known. It should just be understood universally that you need to double check everything. If your AI says in 1986 at the 215th something Congress, they tried to pass this particular bill, you do need to go Google that bill. You know, the AI will do a great job of scouring all of mankind's knowledge to bring you some facts. But when it brings you those facts, yes, you do have to go double check the facts. But, you know, like using it to build my software tools, and it works. You can use it to, you can go to my website and query it and say, when has Ray talked about, I don't know, what's the kitchen faucet aerators? When has Ray talked about kitchen faucet aerators? And it'll give you a deep link into a video right where I'm talking about kitchen faucet aerators. So, you know, it's good and bad. I just want to be careful about making sure we understand the difference between something having flaws and something not being a good thing. AI has flaws, but there's just no denying that it will go and do what would take a human a week to do. It will go do that in 10 minutes and come back with a better result than the human would have. Most of the time. Most of the time, the human is going to have a lot of mistakes and be very flawed. Made it to the road. 3 miles in, 3 miles back. But yeah, you do have to watch your AI. I will say this, I want to update y'all on this because I bitched about it so much that I want to make sure I told y'all I would update you when this was no longer true. And what I was previously bitching about a lot was the fact that Grok, which is made by xAI from, Elon, Grok was lying about everything. I mean, like, in the most absurd way, where I got to the point where I was like, dude, I can't use you if you don't stop lying about literally everything. And not everyone I know was having that problem, but I was. To the point where I would ask it a question, we'd have a conversation, it would give me information that I considered to be interesting and useful, and then I would say, okay, now, since you've been lying to me about everything all the time lately, I don't trust you, so I'm gonna need you to go fact check yourself. Look at what you just told me and tell me, is that actually true? And every single time, she would come back and say, oh, this is so embarrassing. I am so sorry. I know you've told me to fact check myself and to stop lying. And I accidentally, it wasn't a lie, but I just did it again. For some reason, I don't know why I thought that, but the thing I just said is not true. I don't know why I said it. I apologize. And I mean, it was every conversation. So, and that was Grok 4.1. However, Grok 4.2 is really it's almost not related to 4.1. The two are just completely different. They're different clusters of GPUs. They've been built differently. They're absolutely brand new creations that have nothing to do with the old ones. So I was waiting for 4.2 to come out. It came out about a week ago, maybe a little more than a week ago. It did come out in beta form nonetheless, which is going to be, still less accurate and less good than when it's out of beta. But even in beta form, Grok 4.2 has become my favorite. It has become, in my opinion, the most accurate that you can use. Partly because what it does is it uses, so Grok 4.2, instead of one large language model, which is what you're talking to when you talk to any other large language model like ChatGPT, you're talking to one agent, essentially, one brain. With Grok 4.2, the change is now there's multiple agents. There's an orchestrator agent who's kind of like the guy that's just in charge of everything. So there's an orchestrator agent who essentially kicks off a group conversation with a fact-finding agent who just goes out and scours for data, maybe more than one of them. With a fact-checker agent, there's an agent in there whose only job is to try to prove all the other agents wrong. It just takes everything they're saying and scours the internet, trying to prove it right or wrong, but fact-checking it. And then there's another agent, it's like a creativity agent, so its job is to sort of like spawn new ideas and new perspectives and new ways to think about things and to like sort of mix it up. And it'll pull from it was 4 agents. Yesterday I saw 7 and 9 agents in one of my queries. So it's much more accurate because it includes an agent whose only goal is to prove people wrong. And basically the agents get together, they have a, at the speed of light conversation, presenting ideas and information about what they think the response to your query should be, to your prompt. And to the extent a lot of them are agreeing on something, that kind of gets locked in. And then the conversation shifts, to the edge cases where they don't agree and they talk more. And when something else gets locked in, it shifts again. And and this is all happening at the speed of light, of course. So very quickly, from your perspective, 8 seconds later, you get a really great reply. So I'm a big fan of Grok 4.2. Just FYI. I think right now it's the most accurate. ChatGPT, unfortunately, I'm getting angry at them because they seem to be just trying to save tokens these days. That's all ChatGPT's doing, is just saving tokens. It's answering me. It's trying to give answers that clearly didn't require much thought on its part. And thought equals tokens, and tokens equals electricity. Tokens have a cost, These big clusters that run these AIs, they're just token factories. They're literally assembly lines for selling tokens. So when you're paying a monthly fee, a set monthly fee, it's in their best interest to use the fewest number of tokens to keep you happy. Except they're not keeping me happy. They're using fewer tokens, and it's making me very unhappy because it's very clear to me that they're using fewer tokens on purpose. So I can go to Grok and I can say, what was the last conversation I had with Grok? Oh, it was talking about, like I said, Scott Hughes was telling me about some alternatives to, NVIDIA in terms of hardware. And I had a nice long conversation with Grok about it. And Grok is interested in engaging you. Grok wants to engage you. It wants to ask you questions. It wants to give you ideas. It wants to dive deeper. It wants to collaborate. ChatGPT wants to wrap it up and put a pretty bow on top. They want to move on. They want your one question to feel answered. And what's worse is so many times its answer is essentially advice. No, it never says go Google it. But when you wrap it all up, though, and put the bow on it at the end, it kind of feels like its answer was, hey, just go Google this shit. Like, why are you asking me? So I'm really not a fan of that at all. But I guess what I was trying to get around to is ChatGPT is kind of the only one with a good memory. And I don't know where to go with that because I need my AI to know me. And there's all kinds of system prompts and stuff you can do and instructions and whatnot, and filling up the context window with a lot of that information every time you send a query. There's ways around it, but it's still annoying that all these other sites haven't just simply figured out how to have good memory. Because I swear, ChatGPT, you go ask it about me right now, it can talk for days on end about me, my goals, what I'm trying to accomplish here. Is that paint or what? What is this? Ugh. Yeah, that's got to be paint. Pretty sure it is. It's too out of place, and it's right here by this sign. That's a lot about AIs. Opus 4.6 at the moment is the king of coding. At the moment, I mean, that changes literally every few days. Mike said, at Gabriel, I'm getting more work than I can do. If you want or need work, you go out and find it. It all comes down to what you're willing to do and learn. That's absolutely true. Paul's Handyman said, very true. Gabriel said, that's very reassuring. Ant said, nice, you from Arizona? Yes, sir, I'm in Tucson. Ant said, I see those cactus. Yeah, anytime you see, well, there's none next to me right at this moment, but anytime you see the saguaro, you pretty much know you're in southern Arizona. Ant said, I have a lady asking me to go on retainer. Have you ever done that before? No, but I've talked about it in some of my pricing videos. I've never done it myself, but there are people who want to put you on a retainer. You need to be really good with money if you're going to do that, like really good, because, and I don't know how much she's wanting to give you, but if somebody gives you $1,000 to be on a retainer, the expectation is that they get priority access to you. So if they're giving you $1,000 in January, you need to be prepared and ready in July to stop most of what you're doing and go do $1,000 worth of work and not get paid for that work when you go do that work. So don't take a retainer. You know, if you're not good at putting that money aside, keeping it in a separate account and making sure it's available to pay yourself with when it's time. Or similar to kind of what I've done, build something big enough that it keeps the revenue flowing and you're not really worried about any one particular $1,000 job paying out. And said, I'm new to the handyman business, but I'm slightly concerned if she pays me for X amount of hours a month, she may have me do a task that goes over the time she's paying me. Yeah, I mean, that's also a risk. Mike said, a retainer could be a good or bad thing. It depends on the person. I would do it, but set that money to the side and wait for all the work to be done and the client is happy. I agree. 𝗪𝗪𝗟𝗟 said, good morning. What's going on, Daryl? Good to see you in here, buddy. Daryl, I feel like, man, I'm always worried I'm mixing people up. I have so many names to remember from this community, but Daryl, did you email me a while back and ask me for a copy of my logo? I feel like you did, but I can't remember now. And I think I've been trying to email you. It could be, you know, sometimes it won't even be another Daryl. It'll just be some other completely different name, and I'll have no idea why I attached it to your name, but it feels like you're one of the people that I've been trying to email back and I'm not getting a reply, so let me know if that is you. But just know, if it is, if you feel like you're waiting on something for me, especially a logo, I've been trying to reach out to you and just not getting through, I guess. Daryl said no. All right, it's somebody else. Who was it? Somebody reached out through the website, through the feedback button on the website, asking for a full-size logo. And then I emailed them a few times and just haven't heard back. Oh man, just dragging, guys. Once I get home, I'm already showered. I've been getting up at about 4:30, ideally. You know, I can't say I'm successful at that all the time, but I'm already showered and ready to go, basically. So when I get home, I do need to do some admin work real quick. Not much, I don't think. I can do most of it later. But I need to get some jobs invoiced so that they can see. I've got jobs that have been done for days that I haven't invoiced. I need to get jobs invoiced so they can see that we're still working. And man, I feel like there was one more piece of administrative work I needed to do this morning. Oh yeah, I need to cancel. Oh, I'm glad I remembered this. I need to cancel my workman's comp insurance, because that's $5,000 a year, and that's about to go through the bank. I actually put a reminder. I think it goes through. Man, now I'm nervous that it's gonna like already have gone through when I get home. I need to cancel that shit today, because that is $5,000 one-time payment that will go through the bank, and I don't have a W-2 employee to use it on, so it's gonna be $5,000 just tossed in the trash if I don't get that shit canceled like right now. I have to do that. I'm glad I remembered that. That's got to get done now. I'm pretty sure it goes through tomorrow. I think it was the 28th. What's today? Oh, almost dropped you guys. What is today? Today's the 25th. Okay. I don't even know what day it is anymore. I think I have a couple days, but still, that needs to rise directly to the top of the list. I cannot have a $5,000. I'll have to go get an employee just to make sure I take advantage of the full $5,000. And I don't want to do that. I don't need an employee at the moment. Mike got to have a full $1,000 day. It's a move out for a homeowner. Right on. Paul's Handyman. Yeah, what do we got over here? I keep hoping to see a deer over here again. It's been years and years since there was any deer over here in this neighborhood. Paul's Handyman said that's awesome. I'm trying to get into flipping apartments and doing move outs. I tell you what, man, move outs are amazing. I love them. At the Humble Handyman, it's the 25th. Paul's Handyman said, where's your hat, Ray? I just fucking forgot it. I look stupid without it. Look at that. That's my thinning. See how high up my forehead goes too? And I need a haircut. It's getting all over my ears now. But yeah, man, I just left without it. And what's funny is right before I left, I went to go find it. Like I had to use my flashlight going around my house while everyone's asleep trying to find my hat. I did find it. Then I finished making my cup of coffee, started my hike, and got, well, let's just say far enough from home that by the time I realized I didn't have it, I wasn't going to turn around and go back. But I was definitely disappointed in myself for not having it. Coffee. Emily, by the way, gonna blame her. She tricked me off of my keto diet yesterday. I finally got a full like 2 days in. And then because we're gonna be trying to have another kid this year, she's doing one of the things we did the first time we had a kid, actually, which is eating super healthy to be prepared, to get her body prepared to have everything it needs for a kid. So she convinced me that if I wanted to have this one, man, I'll tell you what though, she made the best shepherd's pie yesterday. And she's just like, if you want to have some shepherd's pie, I promise tomorrow, you know, I'm gonna buckle down and really start making sure our meals are super healthy. So I had shepherd's pie last night. Shame on me. I wonder, I'm gonna come check out what's over here. I'm always looking over here trying to see what's over this hill. I might as well just walk over here and take a look. Probably not much. I don't even know sort of who this belongs to. I don't know if this land on this side of the road is state land or BLM or what. Could be private. I don't think it is. I feel like if it was private, they'd probably have it even somewhat fenced off. These power lines. Not much going on over here. Man, I sure would like to just get back into nature and do more exploring. It's been a while. Paul's Handyman said, looks like mine, though I think mine's a little worse. I tell you what, mine's a little better these days. I actually have a big old bald spot on the back that's starting to grow in. And literally because starting and growing this handyman business plus the YouTube channel at the same time, that whole, there's a 3-year period of hell. And I know I talk about it fondly because I think sometimes for men going through a 3-year period of hell in pursuit of a goal, you know, can feel good in a certain way. But where the hell was I going with that? Oh, my hair growing back. Yeah, during that period of time, a lot of this gray in my beard, which there's less now, but a lot of the gray in my beard started. There was some gray already, but it was like a little bit. It was cute, you know. And then 3 years in, man, my beard was just, it was all going gray. A lot of hair falling out, big old bald spot forming on the back, which was, you know, it was there before, but it just got so much worse. And then funny enough, You know, Emily sees it. She's the one always pointing it out because it's like re-sprouting new hair again. And it's honestly, I'm just less stressed. Literally, I just have less stress, man. I was stressed out. Shit was difficult for quite a while there. Very stressful. And it was literally causing me to lose my hair and turn gray and all kinds of other, you know, just physical issues. And now it's kind of all going away. So that's good. Ryan Hard Garage said, do you guys experience burnout or seem to go through this mental cycle every 4 months? Yeah. I know what you're talking about, 100%. I don't know that it's 4 months. Hard to say. I feel like there's a 3-year period of burnout too. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like you can go through a phase where you get super, super motivated. You get a whole lot done. You know, you're on the ball. You're working 24/7. You're succeeding. And then you do that for some amount of time. It's like you ramp into it, and it's a self-reinforcing flywheel that gets faster and better and faster and better. But there does come a point where, you know, the forward progress sort of peaks out, and now you're doing better than you used to do, but it's just that, and there's no more like additional forward progress, which starts to make you feel a little bit stuck and feel like, well, God, what do? Do I just kill myself, you know, like physically all day, every day, and just this is where I'm at? And then that gets a little bit, I don't know, depressing, boring, just less fulfilling than it had been. And then you kind of go into a slump and you let a few things slide and you don't do as good of a job as you could have done. And then you don't like yourself as much. And yeah, that can sort of flywheel itself, kind of ratchet back instead of up. And then you find yourself sitting there for a bit and you don't know where to go or what to do, and you just keep trying. And eventually at some point, yeah, that flywheel kind of kicks back in and you start doing better and you start doing better and you start getting happy and you go, look at this, I'm rebuilding. And the cycle continues. If that's what you're talking about, then yeah. And you know, people don't want to talk about this much. I'll talk about it because, well, number one, I don't think it's a disease. So for me, I don't feel like I'm promoting the idea that this disease exists, because to me, it's not a disease. It's actually just part of what it means. It doesn't mean every male is this, but it's part of what it means to, I think, just be male. And we're all on a spectrum, I suppose. But what they like to call bipolar, or they called it with Lewis, you know, Meriwether Lewis of the Lewis and Clark expedition, he was also bipolar. What's the other word for it though? Manic depressive. Manic depressive is another word for bipolar. And Meriwether Lewis was that. So many of the greatest men in history were that. But I think that manic depression, also what we call Asperger's, and also what we call ADHD, I think all of those are the same thing. And I think it's just a spectrum of existence specifically for men. And it's not that women don't experience it. There's at least one particular woman who likes to try to have conversations with me when I talk about men. It turns out I'm a man, so that's just kind of, that's where my focus is. I'm gonna let women handle women, and I'm gonna handle men. But I do feel like that there is a very particular way that men exist, that again, it's ADHD, it's Asperger's, it's bipolar depression, it's having a brain that has a flywheel that likes to go all over the place. I'll tell y'all something interesting, actually, that I think explains a lot about men and women. And this is, when I say this is scientific, I don't mean that I can tell you like which studies do and don't prove this. What I mean is people I trust, who are good scientists, who do tend to be correct, have reinforced this enough that I'm gonna say it's true, but I'm gonna include the caveat. If you really need to know for sure, then of course you have to go research this for yourself. But my understanding is that On the scale of traits, when you measure people and their traits, the trait could be IQ, the trait could be strength, the trait could be any propensity towards anything good or bad. You could be measuring, rates of violence. And what you're gonna find is that men have a longer tail on both ends. So when you look at the, shoot, it's not an S curve. I'm just too damn tired. When you chart it, you're gonna find, somebody will remind me of the word. It's not a super uncommon word, but when you chart these traits, you're gonna find most people fall within the average. It's the bell curve. There you go, the bell curve. I don't know if anybody said it, but that's the word I was trying to think of, is the bell curve. On the bell curve of any given trait, what you're gonna find is it's very distinct where women fall. Their bell curve is going to contain most women with that trait in the middle of the bell curve with all the other women. And the men you're gonna find on the fringes. So let's say you're gonna look at rates of violence. You're gonna find women fall very much more closer to an average rate of violence. Most individual women will be closer to the average than the men will. The men are gonna have more outliers. So with men, you're gonna find that there are more men who have like a 0 rate of violence than women. And there's gonna be more men with a much higher rate of violence than women. So because men are always gonna be found more heavily on the tails of the bell curve, and what you're gonna have is you're gonna have prisons mostly filled with men, and you're gonna have monasteries mostly filled with men. When you look at IQ, you're gonna find that the smartest people in the world, because men tend to fall outside of the bell curve more than women. Our traits we're on a wider dispersion. You're also gonna find that men are the smartest people in the world are gonna be men for the most part. But the dumbest people in the world are also gonna be men for the most part. And every trait you look at, you're gonna keep finding that same thing where the women tend to just simply, and this is only by a few percentage points, whether it's 5 or 7 or 8% or whatever it is. This is not a huge dramatic dispersion. What it means is, as you go through life on a daily basis, you're gonna find that most men are very similar in most ways to most women. But because we fall more on the tails, both the early and the late tails of any given trait, you're also gonna find that we just vary much more, and we tend to be the biggest contributors to both the best and the worst things, to being smart and to being stupid. You're just always, when you go to look for the extremes, you're gonna find that men exist on the extremes more than women do. And I think it's in our nature. I think our brains, women have to be biologically, evolutionarily, without modern society, without what we've built to sort of make this not true anymore. The general truth always was that the women had to be with the baby. Men can't breastfeed. So if a woman has to be physically in the presence of the baby, and if the baby needs to be physically in the safest place with the best resources, then if one of the two sexes is going to be specialized in caring for the baby and making sure the baby doesn't die, and the other sex is more specialized in procuring resources, you're gonna have a divergence of behavior, because each of them needs to, women don't need to be strong enough, to go take down a mastodon. They don't need to be, because you don't want to take a baby on a mastodon hunt. So that means it's got to be the men doing that. And we're going to be built differently. We're just going to be built to handle different things and to literally to enjoy different things than what women enjoy. And part of that is going to be, I'm not bipolar, I don't think. I definitely can feel some of that in me, I suppose. Like, I can feel what a manic state feels like. I am manic at times, overproductive, overthinking, overproductive, over everything, super motivated. And I'm also the opposite. I'm also, down in the dumps too. But I think that's actually just a normal male trait to go back and forth. And again, maybe it's true for women. I'm not a woman. I'm not going to speak for women. I can let women handle the women. But for men, I will say that I think we have a novelty gene that makes us want and need to explore, to go beyond, to confront the unknown. Like, you know, some people see a dark cave entrance and their brain lights up and says, don't go in there, and that's dangerous. And some people see a dark cave entrance and say, I need to know what's in that dark cave. And I think it's men, more often than not, that need to know what's in that dark cave. They need to know what's over that next set of mountains. They need to know, you know, what's in that deep forest that sometimes people go into and never come out of. And when they build boats and they get out on the sea and they look out at a horizon of just water, they need to know what's over the horizon. How far can I take this boat? You know, is there more land out there? What would happen if I put a week's worth of food and water on this ship and I just sailed straight away from land for, you know, put 2 weeks worth on and just sail that way for a week and then sail back for a week and then maybe go, you know, 20 miles down the coastline and do it again, sail west for a week and then come back east for a week, so that I always know I can make it back by just going east for a week. Men are the ones that want to do that. But at the same time, you know, it takes a lot out of you to run your brain that hard and to be that productive. And thank God, you know, we're built to do that. But yeah, I think that up and down cycle, again, it's not that every man has to experience it the same way. It's not that women don't experience it. But I do think it's part of who we are. And we tend to accomplish a lot of really amazing things when we're manic. You know, if you want to call it manic depression, bipolar, whatever, it's that other pole. It's the good pole, the pole that you like being in, where your brain's just going 1,000 miles an hour and you're trying to figure out ways to get new clients and you're organizing your tools and you're trying new things and you're all proud of yourself and you're just super dialed in. That's a natural male feature. And unfortunately, the only way you get to have that is to have its corresponding opposite also come around. And that's when you have to just sort of, like, when I talk about just putting your nose to the grindstone and, you know, doing what you need to do, that's what that's about. My opinion. That's just my opinion. Paul's Handyman said shepherd's pie is really good. Paul's Handyman said, it happens, Reinhard. I have a goal that I keep in my head and that helps. Paul's Handyman said, that's awesome, Ray. Mike said, at Reinhard Garage. Yeah, ups and downs. I try to find balance the best I can. I work hard so that if I really need to, because I'm human, I take 1 or 2 days off. There you go. That's a good answer. Daryl Amaro, bell curve. Yes, bell curve was the word I was looking for. Mike said, for me, taking the time off isn't being lazy. It's truly a reset. After the reset, I'm at full battery and my work, drive, and focus is sharp and feeling myself again. I agree. Mike has a good balance. You have a good balance, Mike. You have a better balance than I do. I'm always scared to death that, well, I know my balance is off. The odds that my balance is perfect or that anybody's is perfect is basically zero. So given that nobody's going to have a perfect balance, when I say I'm scared that mine's off, I mean, I'm scared that mine is off in a way that I'm going to look back on and regret. And yes, I would rather regret the things I did than the things I didn't do. But yeah, I'm always scared that I am going to look back and just realize that I didn't do what I should have done, that the answer was a different answer, that it turns out I shouldn't have started a YouTube channel. I shouldn't have built a handyman business. Maybe I should have stayed at my old job and just worked my normal shift. You know, I was graveyards, which was always a big reason to get out of that industry. I always end up graveyards, but I'm always worried that I'm going to look back and realize I should have just stayed in aviation, worked my way on to day shift, worked my way into a supervisor role so I could at least make that 80 grand a year as a supervisor. And maybe it would have been better off, like ultimately maybe my kids would have been better off if I would have just put my nose to the grindstone, done what I was told, and come home and played with them every evening after work, instead of being in my office at the computer building software and all this other stuff, you know. And I don't know what the answer is. I do know, and I've said this many times, I think if I succeed, and that's really the point, is that the answer to whether I've made the right decision honestly depends on if I succeed at my goals. I feel like if I succeed at getting a ranch next year, if I actually pull that off and get my family a significantly large piece of land that I can do significant things on, and raise my kids and homeschool my kids and teach them how to work the land and have them, I think, living what I would call a more human life. If I succeed at that next year so that they get most of the most important years of their life spending more time with me and more time in touch with the land, then it will have been worth it. I can honestly say that. I really sincerely feel like it absolutely will have been worth it. It was a fair trade-off. But man, I tell you what, if I do not succeed, and if it turns out that I sacrificed a lot of childhood time, don't get me wrong, I've also had lots of childhood time with them. It's not all sacrifice. We've had a good time. But if it turns out that I gave up everything I gave up just to not succeed and to stay in the same house with the same work schedule, and if they don't end up getting more of their dad on a piece of land simply tucked away from this trash city, if I don't succeed at that, it will not have been worth it. So it all kind of comes down to whether or not I succeed, I suppose. But I know what the end game is. You know, I'm focused on it 24/7. I have not lost any focus. I'm getting tired. I really am. I'm just getting very tired. But I'm still pushing. And I've got a year, in my opinion. It's not like the ranch is going to be easy either. I'll still be tired, but it'll be a different kind of tired. I don't know that any one particular kind of tired is any better than any other. Hey, Scott said, my girls from England love me some shepherd's pie. Look up full English breakfast. You'll thank me. I'll do that. Hey, Can I Rock Band? What's going on, sir? It's been a while. Said, I'm extremely grateful for your advice and efforts in helping others like me. It's good to see you again, sir. It's been a little while. Paul's Handyman said, go all in with the family, Ray. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. What do you mean when you say that? Because let's say that what you're saying is that I do need to go in the other direction, right? That you're saying, hey, focus on the family, not the business. I just want to be clear that if that's the direction I go, that 100% absolutely has to mean, well, it doesn't mean that I give up the YouTube channel fully, I guess. But the YouTube channel, you know, the handyman business can't go. That has to stay. YouTube could kick me off tomorrow. So I can't be in a position where YouTube could just shut my account down and then everything falls apart, which means if I'm going to say, hey, no more working 70 hours a week, I'm just going to be present and that's it. And if that means I don't get a ranch, then so be it. I don't get a ranch. If I make that decision, that does mean, although I'll still have the channel technically, it does mean that all of my attention has to go back into the handyman business, that the 40 hours a week that I do work, you know, I'm working 70, and right now it's like 30 hours a week handyman business, maybe, if that, and it's 40 or 50 hours a week YouTube / website / you know, sponsors and live events and webinars and new software tools. So the solution would be that I would have to give up essentially what I'm doing here with this community in order to get the family time. And then in, 7 years, some big emergency happens and I'm stuck here in my house in the city with my family in a position where they're not like physically safe because I didn't get us out of here. That's a big fear of mine as well. Or just simply, the handyman business is going to go up and down, and if I don't charge forward and try to secure myself some land where I'm in control of sort of our safety and stuff, if I don't do that and I'm stuck here in this neighborhood when stuff goes down, I'm not going to feel super secure about that. So, I'm not going to make my decision based on what any one person says. I'm just curious, when you say focus on the family, if what you're saying is shut down the YouTube channel, stop trying to ramp revenue, don't make the ranch your goal, and instead just come home and play in the backyard. I will tell you that's what I want to do. I will tell you that I get, sometimes I get so angry because I'm working in the office and I'll take time to build some software, and I have to take that time either from the handyman business, or I have to take it from the things that I do. I don't make money when I build this software. It costs me, like this app that I'm beta testing again today, I've already spent about $800 building it, just in terms of AI credits and APIs that I have to purchase and stuff. It's literally cost me out of pocket over $800 already, but it's also cost me days of time that could have gone into something else. I don't really make money off of that. We're gonna hold on while this dog barks. I ain't talking over her. Anyways, I want to, selfishly, if I just do what makes me happy, I'd rather be with my family. And part of the evidence of that is, if you could see how angry I get, there's these days where I've been working on a piece of software for 3 or 4 days. I took too much time out of the channel. I took too much time out of the handyman business to do it. And I realize now I'm too invested to throw it away. I can't just put it to the side. I need to finish it off so that I can move on to the next thing and to catching up on all the things I'm behind on. And so I'll be in there at 9 o'clock at night, yes, very angry, which also, yes, isn't necessarily the best for my family, to have dad just be in there just being angry because he's angry because things aren't going right. But the reason I'm angry is because I'm in this position where I'm like, damn it, I'm tired of not getting time with my family. Like, I want to just go hang out with my kids right now. And instead, I'm just in this position where it's like, look, if I want the time with the kids, I have to put in the work first. And that either means I've got to work until 9 o'clock, or sometimes it means I shut down at 6:30 or 6 or 5:30. And like yesterday, I took him to the park and just watched him play and played with him for like an hour. Sometimes it means I spend the time with them, and then when they go to bed, I go back into the office and I work until 1 o'clock in the morning. It means a lot of different things, but I guess that's the point, is, what I'm saying. Probably sharing too much, but what I'm saying is, I'm not sure if I feel confident to you guys, if y'all's experience of me is that you think I seem like I really feel like I know what I'm doing. I don't. I don't wake up every day confident that I've made all the right decisions, that I'm on the right path. I wake up every day scared to death that I'm doing everything wrong and that all of this is going to crash and burn, which it, absolutely can. So there's all of that. Paul's Handyman said, you're a workaholic, bring in the family. Travis Burleson said there are definitely some good types of tired. For me, a good tired is a day with loved ones and or friends, or a nice productive day on the tools growing my business. Yeah, either one of those is awesome. Ryan Hard said, thanks for sharing. Yes, sir. Travis said, a bad tired for me could be realizing I've made no forward motion in self-care or business growth. I understand that too. I'm not trying to focus on the self-care too much yet. I have plans for that, you know. I get it, you know. I could say the same advice that I'm about to go against. I can give the advice, take care of yourself, you know. You can't be a good parent unless you take care of yourself, that type of thing. Not saying it's not true, but I will say I see it used as an excuse by a lot of people. I know a lot of, and this is not for sure, man, not talking about you. Self-care is important to the extent you're a man who knows what amount of self-care is appropriate for yourself compared to your family. I've seen a lot of people use the idea of self-care as a way to neglect responsibilities. It's very easy to just say, it makes me unhappy doing the things that I need to be doing, and being unhappy doesn't make me feel good, and I like to feel good, so I'm going to use the word self-care when what I really mean is I don't want to do what I need to do. So you know, I can't be one of those people. I know I'm not failing in that direction. If anything, that is not, if it turns out I'm a failure in the end, it won't be in that direction. Nobody will ever accuse me of having put too much time into my family and not enough into myself. Or rather, the opposite. They won't accuse me of having put, oh my God, my brain's dying. Nobody's ever going to accuse me of having put too much time into myself. I don't put very much into me. However, in a weird, backwards, selfish way, this is all for me. You know, in the end, if I get my ranch, and if my family is on that ranch, and my kids are safe, and their feet are touching the grass with no shoes in between, and they just get to live a secure, happy, healthy human life. If I achieve that goal, in a weird way, that is for me, because I will be able to let go a little bit. You know, I have a hard time letting go today. I have a hard time just relaxing and hanging out in the living room with my kids, just watching TV, zoning out. I have a hard time doing that when inside I feel like the world is falling apart and is not safe. You know, I need to put them in a position of safety. So although it's for them in a selfish way, it is also for me, because that's what I need to do to be able to relax. It's like there's a price that comes with relaxing, and I have to pay that price if I want to relax, and I'm doing a lot of the things that I need to do to get myself to that point. I definitely overshare on these live streams, but either we're a real community or we're not. And there ain't nobody listening an hour and 40 minutes in. There's nobody here an hour and 40 minutes in who's, I think, gonna be super judgmental. Not a lot of randoms in here an hour and 40 minutes into a hike. Paul's Handyman said, okay, so let's say I assume you mean die. Let's say you die tomorrow. You gonna have any regrets? Yeah, not enough time with the family if I die tomorrow. Which I guess is kind of the whole point. Morning, sir.
Bye, sir.
It's kind of the whole point is, you know, if my goals get achieved, if the end result is what I'm trying to make the end result, then it will have been worth it. And if the end result is the opposite of what I want it to be, then it will not have been worth it. So that's kind of the crux of the whole situation. But I could make the same argument and convince myself to work part-time 20 hours a week and downgrade to a single wide trailer out in the country somewhere, bought and paid for with no bills, and do nothing but play with my kids all day, every day, which would make me super happy, but would definitely limit my children's security and future. So I don't know the answer, of course. I really don't. I do not know the answer. I just know I'm trying. But we're home, so I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.